As I'm sure you know if you're watching this video, a couple of months ago, StarStock went through some craziness. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the video I made about the whole fiasco. In this video, I'm going to update you on the latest happenings with StarStock now that it's been a couple months since all the hoopla went down. If you have cards on the platform, this will also be a good opportunity to reflect on what may be your best approach moving forward, and we'll also talk on whether there still may be some opportunities for you as the ship continues to sink. Alright, let's go through a handful of things point by point. The first thing to discuss here is related to how long it may take you to get back your cards if you currently have some on the platform, since this has been a point of contention for many people as they look to get out of the train wreck that StarStock has become. As soon as StarStock announced it would no longer be accepting new raw card submissions, and that essentially they were giving up on the sports card game and shifting themselves into the NFT realm, the first thing most people wanted to do was just simply get their cards back. The CEO did mention in an interview or two that StarStock would make it a priority to get people their cards back if they wanted them, and he even mentioned once or twice the possibility of offering shipping discounts to people, although that is something that never moved past a passing expression in an interview or two, unfortunately. Since that time, there's been a lot of expressed frustration out there about people not getting their cards back in a timely manner. However, I would suggest that there is some need to be realistic here. At the time that all this went down, like in early February or so, according to the numbers on StarStock, there were about 1.74 million cards within their vault. As of mid-April, so 2 months later, there are about 1.63 million. That's a difference of about 110,000 cards. That means that if StarStock continues to send back cards at the pace they're currently at, that's about 50 to 55,000 cards per month. Now, to be honest, that's actually more than I thought they were going to be able to do. Given the fact that they let go a large number of their staff, and of those who have remained, most of them have moved away from being involved with the vault itself, that likely means there are very few staff members actively working on getting people their cards back. I've even heard it mentioned in the rumor mill that there may be as little as one person who is that person doing that as their job for StarStock right now. If that is the case, then that person's a hero. If it really is just one person getting 55,000 cards back to their people per month, then I think that person is doing a fantastic job. But even if it is more than one person, I think it is a realistic expectation for us to think that it wouldn't be a faster pace than that for StarStock to get our cards back to us. So that's a good place to start here. Temper your expectations. And hey, that's something sports card hobbyists should be used to by now, yeah? I mean, with how long people have become accustomed to wait, however annoyed they may be by it, for PSA to get their cards back to them that were sent in forever ago, having another annoyingly long wait to get cards back from StarStock shouldn't be a new experience for many people. Now, if the pace continues as is of about 55,000 cards sent back per month, and if literally all 1.63 million cards left in the vault were going back to their owners, that would mean it would take like 30 months or so for the vault to be completely cleared out. That's a long line. Let's move on to point 2 here, which is relevant at this point in the conversation. So one option for you if you have cards on StarStock's platform is to just have them shipped back to yourself if you haven't already done that, but as we can see, that might be a long wait. The second point we'll look at here is if there may be some opportunities that exist for you to continue to be involved in StarStock's platform as their sports card ship continues its slow ascent towards nothingness. For me, I'm not having StarStock send my cards back yet. I'm sure I will eventually, but in the meantime, I'm not rushing to get into that inevitably long line that is currently rushing for the exit gates. Instead, what I am doing is actively trying to sell some of the cards I have in there and actively trying to buy cards that I would rather have and that I would rather hold on to for a long time. I'm especially focused on selling cards where my profit margin is already really low and it is not that worthwhile for me to send the card back to myself, and buy up cards that would be the kind of cards I'd rather hold on to for a long term anyway. I mentioned in some previous videos some of the cards I was really trying to offload early on in this StarStock fiasco, things like base and lower end parallels of recent rookies, and other things I was aiming to buy with the money I was getting from those sales, which would be anything that I'd want to hold on longer term or anything I would want to have for my own PC long term. Now, over the past 2 months, I've just been continuing to do that. Throughout the process, I've gone from having about 550 cards in my account down to about 380 cards. Eventually, I'm sure I'll send most of my cards back to myself, but while the current waiting line is so ridiculously long, I'm trying to change the nature of the cards I have in my account to cards I'd be more happy to get back in hand again. And if I can get less cards in my account overall, that means that if and when I do eventually send them back to myself, the shipping cost will be less. Now, I think that this is something that soon after the StarStock fiasco started, a lot of other people were also doing. But it seems to me like the number of people doing this has slowed down in recent weeks. Whereas I had a lot of cards getting offers, even if really lowball offers, in the first month after the fiasco, nowadays there's a much smaller trickle of offers coming in. But I think an opportunity actually exists here due to this. Many sellers on StarStock are still trying to actively offload as much of their inventory as they can so they don't have to wait in that super long line to get their cards back. As such, when reasonable but somewhat lowball offers do come in, people are accepting them. And since there seems to just generally be less offers coming in the further away things get from the start of this whole catastrophe, when offers reasonable but low do come in, sellers are only more likely than ever before to accept them. But again, if you do decide to do this, I would only do it with cards that you'd like to hold on to for a long period of time, fully expecting that it could be like a year or more down the road before you actually get those cards in your hands. For me, I plan to keep on doing this until either I've whittled down the cards in my vault to the cards I'm happy to wait in line with for a year before I get them back, or until StarStock offers some kind of shipping discount, which I'm hoping they will at some point since the CEO has mentioned it in interviews previously. Personally, I really think StarStock should be offering some big shipping discounts, especially for cards that fit into a few specific categories. 1. I think any cards that were put into people's StarStock accounts from StarStock breaks should be shipped to people for no cost whatsoever. When people were getting cards put into their accounts from the breaks, they would have had the option to get them shipped back to themselves freely as part of the cost of the break. And if people had known that this whole fiasco would have gone down, everyone would have had their cards shipped back to themselves instead of putting it into their StarStock account. I personally did 2 breaks on StarStock and had the cards put into my account only for all this crapola to go down mere days later. And then I had all these base common Bowman draft baseball cards in my StarStock account that will never be worthwhile for me to pay to get shipped back to myself. Those ones will likely be sitting in the StarStock vault for the rest of eternity unless StarStock offers to send them back to me for free or nearly free. 2. I think that anyone who had their cards put into the StarStock system within, say, 2 months or so before all this went down should also get their cards sent back to them for nearly no cost. People paid 25 cents per card to get their card into a marketplace on the expectation that that marketplace would continue, only to find out mere days or weeks later that the marketplace was basically going to be euthanized. People paid for a service, and that service offered by the company is no longer getting any support. People shouldn't have to go in and pay again to now get their cards sent back to themselves if it had just entered the marketplace mere weeks before all this went down. For those who have had their cards in the marketplace for many, many months already, I could see where they at least had plenty of time within a more vibrant marketplace environment where they had the opportunities to sell some of their cards. But for those whose cards entered the marketplace just as the company stopped nurturing it, they were essentially paying for a service that they never received and should not now have to double pay just to re-get their own property back in their hands. Now, I don't expect StarStock to do either one of these things, but I really think they should. My expectations are very low, and I don't trust that the company has the customer's best interests in their mindset at all, so I'm mostly just speaking into the wind here. Alright, let's move on to point 3. What is going on with the whole NFT focus that StarStock has been moving towards? On the day StarStock made its announcement that they were no longer accepting raw card submissions, they also canceled all their breaks, even those that were about to happen like minutes later. I actually had bought a spot on a Bowman Draft Sapphire baseball break that was scheduled to happen on the day all this went down. And shortly thereafter, on their breaks page, they began to post NFT projects they were involved with. Their first NFT project was something called Bounty Hunter Space Guild NFT Remint, which completed on January 31st, and then from then until March 8th, they seem to have an additional 16 different NFT projects going on at different times. However, since March 8th, there has been no additional NFT-related activity on the website itself. If there's anything going on behind the scenes with StarStock and NFTs now, I don't know, and honestly don't care. But if their business pattern continued on as it had been, I wouldn't be surprised if it has just become another abandoned area of focus, as it seems like they have this tendency recently to shift away from an effort pretty quickly if it doesn't succeed immediately. And being that they kind of abandoned their own customer base, it's quite difficult for me to see who are the people who would have been involved in an NFT StarStock project anyways. Alright, all that being said, that's where things are currently at with StarStock as far as I can discover. If there's anything more to share on down the road, I'll do my best to figure it out and share it back to you all. Please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, hit that like button, and let us know in the comments below your thoughts on this whole StarStock fiasco and how or if you personally have been affected by it in any way. But for now, peace.